Alright, NYC Geek Society here, Jon and Axel. This is our final day of E3 coverage. The first panel that we decided to cover was the game called Control by Remedy Entertainment, the creators of the Max Payne, or at least the first two Max Payne games, Alan Wake and Quantum Break. So this is our new game. It's multi-console. So it's going to be for Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC, which is good because the last two Remedy games were Xbox exclusives, and neither one of them did very well, unfortunately. At the start of this panel, they basically showed off a demo that they had been showing behind closed doors at E3 up until now.
And unfortunately, I was late to the video, so John got like the first 5 minutes or so.
So it starts off where you play as this character Jessie, and we're told that she's trying to uncover mysteries about her own past. And so that somehow leads her to a building in New York City, in Manhattan, so that's where it's taking place. So that's cool for NYC Geek Society. And in this building, there's sort of like this hidden dimension / world that if you know how to access, you could access. And it's called the Oldest House. And there's something called the Federal Bureau of Control, which is a secret organization. And the head of the Federal Bureau of Control, I guess, dies or something. And now this gun, which is almost like Excalibur, chooses Jessie to become the new head of the Federal Bureau of Control. And everybody in the Federal Bureau of Control just so happens when she got there to be infected by something called the Hiss that makes some people just float in the sky, and some people end up trying to like fight her. It's kind of like they're possessed. And one of the developers said that like don't worry, it's all going to make sense once you play the game.
So it's everyone in this old house that's infected.
Yeah, I guess. What do you mean?
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to recap for my own knowledge since I missed like the first 5 minutes. I mean, I'm very interested in the gun that she has that seems to be shape-shifting, and they also mentioned that as you move along in the game, obviously you can upgrade it,
right?
And it kind of like evolves with you,
right? But besides the gun, she also has other abilities, like you could take like debris from your surroundings and use it as either a shield or to launch at enemies. So that's pretty cool. She also seems to have the ability to levitate.
Feels very much like the Matrix, like
dodging
bullets and the.
Yeah, I mean, Max Payne kind of started that in video games of like having kind of that bullet time effect.
Oh man, I remember like back in the day, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, I used to mod up my computer, and I think there was this thing called Cinemax. It was this thing called the Cinemax mod, and it would make Max Payne feel a lot more like the Matrix. Like, it would make him do like all these crazy moves. But in this game in particular, Control, I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, and I wanted to mention like the gameplay. It just looks silky smooth. You have to see the trailer. It looks like it feels really good to play this game.
Like number one, like also it reminded me of Quantum Break, and it was interesting. I saw in another interview that happened yesterday, where they showed off a little bit of this demo already. They were talking about that basically the idea for this game came about where Sam Lake had some ideas for this during production of Alan Wake and some ideas during production of Quantum Break, but they didn't kind of meld perfectly with those two games, and so then they just made, I guess, this game,
which seems like their craziest game yet. I mean, there's like these sequences in the game that kind of look like geometric patterns. There's this scene in the trailer where Jessie looks at a TV, and all of a sudden the TV just kind of like goes straight into the wall, and like maybe you've seen in the original trailer, like there are these blocks that are floating around. But in the end, the blocks float into like this thing that kind of looks like I can't even describe
exactly.
this. Like
we sound like we're out of our minds.
yeah. But the most scary thing, as John mentioned, was like program this.
yeah, not just like coding that.
Oh my
work.
god.
Yeah.
The math that went into that.
Yeah, they said that using their own proprietary engine, they like kind of put like destruction and physics to like the max. But it was interesting because you had said this too, and they had said this, I don't remember if you were there yet, but that people looking at the trailer before they knew what it was, they said, is this a Remedy game? Like, they have kind of their own specific visual, style to their games. I thought that was
I felt it.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, what is this? Looks like
and keep in mind, like, I didn't play Alan Wake or Quantum Dream. I didn't have Quantum Break. Like, I didn't have an Xbox.
Right.
I recognized it from like the Max Payne days, and I mean like Max Payne 1 and 2.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me.
But I also love just like basically the stories that Remedy kind of does, or at least for the last couple of games, like Alan Wake and Quantum Break, is very much about like the occult. And I've always found that very interesting, like kind of the blending of like magic and science, like almost alchemy, And also, basically that reality might not be what we think it is, typically. And like when she's about to like kind of shift realities at one point in this game, she says something to the degree of going forward, never backward, I am in control. And I thought that was such a beautiful quote. Like, so it has like a practical element, I guess, in the game as some kind of chant, but it also feels like a life lesson kind of thing, going forward, never backward.
I'm in control.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful. And at a couple of points, they showed like this shadowy figure in the demo. I don't think you saw that, but I'm wondering if it's like maybe the old director giving her advice or something. But he says something to the degree like, here, dream logic is required for survival, and some things are connected by causality, but only by the meaning that we give them. Like, this is, like, made for me, like, this shit, yeah, I'm already just, like, I'm sold on it already. Like, I feel like I'm gonna love this game. Something else that I've been wondering, I wanted to bring up, it made me realize that, like, a lot of games these days, like in this demo, you saw that Jessie herself is at the center of the screen, and that feels like, I don't know why, but it feels like you're more in control that way for me. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like you don't see that as much in modern games, like
because they're more like over the shoulder, yeah.
Like, and more claustrophobic. Where here it feels like almost like you're playing with like an action figure or something. It feels like that there's more room to like for movement to happen.
Like, I guess with the over-the-shoulder perspective, you're kind of wondering what's on my left-hand side.
Right, it's more claustrophobic, where this feels like you have, like, something in the center.
It's like, I can see everything.
Yeah, right?
Field of view.
I feel like that's kind of rare these days, but I kind of miss that. And, like, again, like, something that I didn't like as much in Quantum Break, although I liked that game, it had its problems. The animation in that game felt kind of last gen, where it was kind of janky and like not smooth. But here, like Axel said, she looks like her animations and everything going on, like the movement around her, just is like smooth as butter,
Yeah, looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun to play when it comes out in 2019.
Yeah, Sam Lake even said that they're going all out on this one, and he said also it's kind of like a Metroidvania. It's more of a sandbox, like / open world environment than their previous games. Although they said it's not like open world.
Okay.
But it's more of like
I was a little worried when he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said it's more like a sandbox environment of like you could just. It was interesting the way they were describing it, of that, there'd be side quests, but you wouldn't necessarily think that they're side quests. You would just see something, and want to explore that further, and you have the luxury of doing so. So I guess it's just more about them. It still seems like more of a linear, maybe less of a linear.
Because I think that's something that me and you are concerned with, like open world games, kind of like stretching the story too thin.
Right, but you can stretch the story and it still be good. It's just hard to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's like an open world game in the sense that like Grand Theft Auto is an open world game where you can just go anywhere and do anything, and most of the stuff you do doesn't matter to the story at all. It seems like it's just like you could see some guy doing a thing and decide to help them, and that might lead to another thing and another thing, but you could also just walk away from that, So I'm interested to see more specifics of how that's going to play out. And I have a little bit more faith in Remedy's storytelling, so I'll be more likely to go with it. So yeah, like Axel said, all they're saying is it's a 2019 release, but I'm very excited to hear more.
Definitely looking forward to this one.
All right, so like, share, subscribe,
and hit the bell,
and NYC Geek Out.
Geek out.